On this edition of Early Look, I'm going to be previewing the bantamweight fight on UFC 321 between Umar Nurmagomedov and Mario Bautista. That's going to be taking place October 25th in Abu Dhabi. My name is James Lynch. If you've never watched the show before, I'm going to go through a bunch of different stats, a bunch of different intangibles. Then I'm going to give you my prediction at the end. After you're done watching this video, let me know in the comments your prediction for this fight. Would love to hear from you. And like we normally do on this show, going to do a quick tale of the tape between these two. Umar Nurmagomedov, 18-1, Mario Bautista, 16-2, 29-32, so a bit of an age gap there. 5'8" to 5'9", 69 apiece, so same reach advantage. Bautista a little bit taller by an inch, and Bautista obviously older as well too. Let's start first with Umar Nurmagomedov as he looks to rebound from his loss to Merab. So I mentioned it there, 3-round fight. This should really be a 5-round fight. It's a pretty big fight for the division. Umar Nurmagomedov, you see it there, 18-1. He's got 2 knockouts, 7 submissions, and 9 decisions. He's currently ranked number 2 in the bantamweight division. He's 29 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. He'll only be 3 years younger than Bautista in this spot. He's got fight of the night 1 time against Merab. He's got performance of the night 2 times against Sergey Morozov and Raoni Barcelos. He's also got the second highest control time percentage in UFC bantamweight division history with 44.5%. Umar made his amateur debut way back in May of 2016, made his pro debut shortly after that in December of 2016, and then made his UFC debut way back in January of 2021, where he earned performance of the night bonus, getting that second round submission over Sergey Morozov. He is 6-1 in the UFC. He's got 3 stoppage victories. Some notable wins include Raoni Barcelos and Corey Sandhagen. The only notable loss he has, period, in his career was that loss to Merab. We'll talk about that fight a little bit later. He's had a little bit of missed time here. If you remember, he was supposed to fight Nathaniel Wood way back in July of 2020. Obviously, his uncle passing away, Habib's father, that was keeping him out of that fight, so that fight never materialized. There was also the Morozov fight the first time, which was supposed to take place in October a year previously. There was an illness there, if you can see on Tapology. And then what was the other fight that he had? Jack Shore. I mentioned Jack Shore. And then there was the Corey Sandhagen fight, the first fight, which was supposed to take place in August of 2023. He had to withdraw from that fight too. Not sure if that was an injury or whatever, but he has had like a few gaps in between fights. He's also had a couple layoffs. We're going to go through those real quick. Going from Morozov to Brian Kelleher, there was a 409-day layoff in there. Going from Nate Maness to Raoni Barcelos, there was a 203-day layoff. And then going from Merab to Mario Bautista, there'll be a 311-day layoff. So that's the second longest layoff of his UFC career. I believe he was injured. I think the plan was for him to fight earlier. I think he was still recovering from that hand injury, if I'm not mistaken. So that's part of the reason why he has not fought since January. But yeah, just something to kind of keep note of. I wanted to reference the Merab fight. There are some people out there who felt like Umar did win this fight. If you go look on MMADecisions.com, that's where the media members can submit their scorecards. Not a single media member scored the fight Merab for Umar Nurmagomedov in the spot. Now look, I watched this fight. I thought it was close. I wasn't sure which way they were going to go on this one. I did think Merab was the rightful winner, but this was a close fight. Like you look at 48-47, they were close rounds. So, Merab did get it done. If Umar doesn't break his hand, does the fight go differently? We'll have to see if that rematch ever happens. But it was certainly a close fight and one that Umar just, lost. It's not like Merab dominated him in the fight. I thought it was a fairly close fight in my opinion. So yeah. And then let's get to Umar's stats. I think that's important to mention. So if you look at Umar's stats here, significant strikes landed per minute is 4.38. His striking accuracy is at 57%. His strikes landed per minute is 2.15. His striking defense is at 60%. That's pretty high. He doesn't get hit that much. His takedown average is 3.26. His takedown accuracy is only at 39%. And his takedown defense is at 78%, although I don't think Bautista is going to be going for takedowns, although you never know. We'll have to see in this one. So yeah, that is everything you need to know about Umar Nurmagomedov. As like I said, he looks to get back to that title shot with the win here over Mario Bautista. But let's talk about his opponent here, Mario Bautista, who's I'd say probably the most underrated fighter in the weight class. Would we agree with that? Let me know in the comments what you think of that. 16-2 record. He's got 3 knockouts, 6 submissions, and 7 decisions in his career. He's currently ranked number 8 in the bantamweight division. He is 32 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach, so same reach as Umar. Trains out of the MMA lab. He's got performance of the night 2 times against Miles Johns and Benito Lopez. He's got fight of the night 1 time against Sun Jin So, and he's got the 3rd longest win streak in UFC bantamweight division history at 8. Very impressive. Made his amateur debut way back in August of 2012. Made his pro debut in May of 2017. So it actually a 5-year amateur career by the looks of it. So that's just one sort of thing that kind of was notable. Made his UFC debut back in January of 2019. So at that point, Umar had, I'm trying to remember if Umar was in the UFC yet. When was that Morozov fight? I think that was after. So yeah, 2021. So Bautista made his debut about 2 years before Umar Nurmagomedov did, and he ended up losing that fight to Corey Sandhagen. I think we forget about that fight actually because it was his debut, and it was short notice as well for Mario Bautista in that spot. Yeah, so made his UFC debut in January of 2019. Bautista is 10-2 in the UFC. He's got 4 stoppage victories. Some notable wins include Ricky Simon, Jose Aldo, and Patchy Mix. We'll put Patchy on there just because he's a former Bellator champion. And then his losses, the only notable loss was Corey Sandhagen. He did lose to Trevin Jones as well. I wouldn't really call that notable for this, simple fact that Trevin Jones did not have much of a UFC career after that. He's currently, I believe, fighting on the regional scene. And it was one of those fights where, I don't want to call it a fluke, but it was one of those fights where, Bautista fights Trevin Jones now. I'm pretty positive Mario Bautista beats him in that spot. I think learned a lot from that fight. Much like Umar, Mario Bautista's had a couple layoffs in his career. Going from Miles Johns to Trevin Jones, there was the 392-day layoff. Going from Trevin Jones to Jay Perrin, there was a 350-day layoff, although he did end up fighting 3 times that year once he did fight Perrin. And then going from Jose Aldo to Patchy Mix, there was a 214-day layoff. He has already fought this year, so he will be back in June, so not as big of a layoff going into this fight as Umar Nurmagomedov is. Bautista's had a couple fights that were close. Let's go through those. This is one I forgot about actually. Mario Bautista against Damon Blackshear. It's a couple years back. That was back at UFC 292. Sterling versus O'Malley. Check this out. Only 5 media members scored the fight for Mario Bautista. There is 10 media members scoring the fight for Damon Blackshear. I remember actually watching that fight and thinking that Blackshear won. Bautista gets it done. Who knows how his career goes after that if he ends up losing that decision, but I thought that was interesting. And then the fight that everyone talks about is the Jose Aldo fight. Majority of media members did score the fight for Mario Bautista. That was at UFC 307 in October of last year. That fight, it was 9 media members scoring the fight for Bautista, 9 media members scoring the fight for Aldo. I thought Bautista won. It was close. I just think people didn't like the way Bautista fought, so they just felt like Aldo deserved the win. But hey, credit to Bautista. He went out there and he got it done and got the victory there. So that was a big win for him. And that was interesting. Let's go to his stats here. So interesting that his stats are, his striking stats are higher than Umar's. 6.13 strikes landed per minute. Now, granted, Bautista's fought a little bit longer in the UFC than Umar has, and I believe he does have more fights, so that contributes to these numbers being a bit higher. Striking accuracy is at 49%. Strikes landed per minute is 4.45. Compared that to Umar, which is, I think, a little bit less, 2.15. So Umar's striking accuracy is higher. Striking defense is at 55%. That's all right. Takedown average is 1.67. His takedown accuracy is at 33%, and his takedown defense is 67%. So that could be interesting here if Umar does decide to go for some takedowns. Pretty good takedown defense there for Mario Bautista. Now, unfortunately, at the time I'm doing this, which is September 25th, so you'll be watching this on Patreon, and the rest of you will be watching this a little bit later on my YouTube channel. There are no odds right now, which is unfortunate. So don't have any odds for this fight. If I'm going to guess, Umar's probably going to be about a 3-1 favorite, if not higher. There's a lot of hype behind him. Again, there's people that felt that he might have beat Merab in that last fight, so I expect him to be a lot higher than Mario Bautista in this spot. And if you look on Tapology, it kind of tells that same story. And this is where you can submit your picks. You don't have to bet anything. 90% of media, or 90% of people out of 595 picks are going Umar Nurmagomedov. So 90% of people picking Umar, just 10% picking Bautista in this spot. So that's kind of interesting. And then something new we're adding here to Early Look. I've been telling you about the AI stuff. Fight Signal. I'm very happy to be partnering with them. You can check out the link in the description of this video if you guys want a discount. But AI actually has Mario Bautista winning this fight. It says current favorite is Bautista based on 3 prediction signals. If you guys want me to go more in depth on the AI stats on this, I might do this in a later video, but just wanted to tell you their result right now has Mario Bautista winning 55% of the time compared to 44 for Umar. Again, just something extra I'm adding to these Early Look previews going forward. Okay, so what is my pick on this fight? Well, I'm going with Umar Nurmagomedov. And here's the thing. So here's a couple of reasons why I like Umar. And let me also mention that my official prediction is going to be Umar Nurmagomedov by decision. Okay, why am I going decision? Why am I picking Umar? I'm going to tell you right now. 50% of Umar's wins are by decision, and this is only a 3-round fight. If it was 5 rounds, maybe I'd feel a little bit better about a finish, but I think Umar, if you look at his stats here, 9 wins by decision. That's the most he has in his career. And like I mentioned, only a 3-round fight, not 5. Bautista hasn't been finished in a fight since 2021. That was the fight against Trevin Jones, and that was by knockout. So maybe you could say, okay, well, he's susceptible to being knocked out because he got knocked out in that fight. But like I mentioned, I think that was a bit of a fluke win there for Trevin Jones. Again, Jones and Bautista fight now. I don't think that's going to take place. And Umar Nurmagomedov only has 2 wins by KO TKO. So that also makes me think, I think Bautista's not going to get knocked out in this fight. Now, Umar has 7 wins by submission. That's the second highest he has in his career. He was submitted by Corey Sandhagen, so maybe you could look at that and go, okay, maybe Umar gets the sub win. And I could see that's probably the second option I would go with is Umar by submission. But if you look at Umar's overall career in the UFC, he has more decisions, it seems, than, actually I shouldn't say that. He's got the same. He's got 3 decision wins, 3 stoppage wins. He did knock out Raoni Barcelos, and he did get some submission wins earlier in his career against Morozov and Kelleher. But I think part of the reason Bautista got submitted in that fight, 2 things about that fight. Number 1, Bautista's a much different fighter now than he was when he fought Sandhagen. And 2, it was a short notice fight. So Bautista was kind of thrown into the fire. And at that time, I don't think we knew how good Corey Sandhagen was. So, again, Sandhagen's fighting for the title at the time of recording this against Merab Dvalishvili. Not a terrible loss to have on the resume there for Mario Bautista. Anyways, long story short, I don't think Umar's going to get the submission there. In my opinion, I think Umar and Bautista do have, some similarities in terms of how they fight, but I just think Umar does things a lot better. Add in the fact that Umar's a little bit younger as well. I think that plays to his favor. And let's be honest here. This is in Abu Dhabi. The crowd's going to be on Umar's side, right? Pro-Muslim crowd. They're going to be all into that. I do think some of that stuff does play a role if the fight goes the distance, which is what I think the fight will do. I think if Bautista was to win this fight, I think he would also win by decision. So you factor in that Umar's going to have the crowd on his side, that he's probably going to go the distance. I think that does favor Umar in a lot of ways as well. Now, one thing I will say about this fight, I think, you saw the 90-10 percentage pick here by fans going with Umar. I think that's a little high. I think we've all kind of underestimated Mario Bautista in a lot of his fights, especially that last fight against Patchy Mix where he was a plus 150 underdog. He was also a plus 160 against Ricky Simon as well. So with that in mind, Bautista is a very smart fighter. He does find ways to win fights. I think this is where he's kind of going to be at the end of his rope against Umar, who's just so good in this spot. So I don't think he will get the win, but I think Bautista will look better than maybe people think he will. I think there's some people that just feel like Umar's going to run him right over. I'm not in that camp. I think Bautista will have his moments, but I think ultimately Umar's going to win this fight, and I think he will win 30-27. I don't think Bautista will steal around here. I think the rounds will be close, but I think Umar will be ahead on all the rounds there. So yeah, that's the pick. I don't think I'm saying anything crazy here. I think most people are kind of going this way. I think a lot of the big Umar fans are probably going Umar by stoppage, but I don't know, man. Bautista's shown his durability. Again, he fought a pretty good submission guy in his last fight in Patchy Mix, and Patchy wasn't able to do anything in that fight. So we'll see how this goes, but my official pick is going to be Umar Nurmagomedov via decision. So I want to know what you guys think in the comments as far as a prediction for this fight. Which way are you going here? And specifically, I would love to hear from the people picking Mario Bautista. I don't think we're going to have many people in the comments here going with Mario Bautista. If you are picking, speak now. Would love to give you credit if he does pull this off, but like I said, I think Umar's got his number here, and I do think he gets it done. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Lynch on Sports. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. I'm always trying to preview fights coming up. Again, doesn't just have to be main events or title fights. If they're interesting fights like this one is, more than happy to talk about it. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.